The Alcott mansion stood tall and grand, filled with whispers, perfumes, and greed. After the death of Mr. Richard Alcott, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, his relatives gathered for the will reading. The chandeliers glowed above them, their light bouncing off gold frames and marble floors. But no light reached Lily Alcott, Richard's stepdaughter, who sat quietly in the back corner. Everyone knew her story. Lily's mother had married Richard after losing her husband in an accident, and though Richard took Lily in, his family never accepted her. The stepbrothers, Edward and Charles, treated her like a burden, often mocking her for being unrelated blood. Now, with Richard gone, they were sure she would finally be erased from their lives and from the fortune. As the lawyer, Mr. Jonathan Hensley, entered the room carrying a thick brown folder, the chatter slowly faded. "Good evening," he began. "We are gathered here today for the official reading of Mr. Richard Alcott's last will and testament." Edward leaned back with a smirk, already dreaming of power. Charles crossed his arms confidently. The cousins whispered about vacations, cars, and inheritance. Meanwhile, Lily sat still, her hands trembling slightly in her lap. She wasn't here for money. She had loved Richard, not because of his wealth, but because he'd once shown her kindness when no one else did. He wasn't a perfect man, but he had given her a home when she needed one most. Mr. Hensley opened the will, his glasses catching the chandelier's light. "Mr. Alcott's wishes are very specific," he said, "and I am bound to follow them exactly." The room fell silent. Every breath felt heavy. Lily looked around and saw everyone's faces, pride, greed, and expectation. But in her heart, she carried something they didn't: gratitude. She whispered softly, "Whatever he left me, I'll accept it." Little did she know, what was about to happen in that room would turn her entire life upside down and reveal truths no one in that house was ready to hear. Because Mr. Alcott's final gift wasn't what it seemed, and it would soon leave the entire family shocked beyond belief. Mr. Hensley adjusted his glasses and began reading the will aloud, his voice echoing across the elegant room. Every word seemed to hold weight, especially for those who sat on the edge of their seats, eager for their share of Richard Alcott's wealth. "To my eldest son, Edward Alcott," he read, "I leave the control of Alcott Enterprises, along with my London estate." Edward smiled proudly, pretending to look humble, but the glimmer in his eyes betrayed his greed. Charles clapped him on the back. "You deserve it, brother," he said, smirking. Certain his own reward was next. Mr. Hensley continued, "To my younger son, Charles Alcott, I leave my countryside properties and half of my investments." A low murmur filled the room. The brothers looked pleased. The other relatives shifted impatiently, hoping to hear their own names next. The atmosphere was heavy with selfish anticipation. Finally, the lawyer's tone softened as he said, "And to my stepdaughter, Lily Alcott." The whispers stopped. All eyes turned to the young woman sitting quietly at the back. Lily swallowed nervously, her fingers gripping the edge of her chair. Mr. Hensley continued reading. "I leave the contents of the small wooden box located in my study." For a second, there was complete silence. Then suddenly laughter broke out. Edward burst out laughing, followed by Charles and a few cousins. "A box?" Edward chuckled mockingly. "That's it? Guess father wanted her to have something to play with." Charles added cruelly, "Maybe it's her reward for being such a good little maid all these years." The laughter spread, echoing painfully through the room. Lily lowered her head, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. She bit her lip, forcing back tears. She had expected nothing, but the cruelty of their mockery stung deeply. Mr. Hensley closed the folder calmly and said, "That concludes the will reading." The family rose, still chuckling, and began to leave the room. Lily stood up slowly, trying to escape unnoticed. But before she could move, the lawyer spoke again, his tone suddenly serious. "Miss Alcott," he said quietly, "please stay for a moment. There's something your stepfather asked me to give you privately." The laughter faded in Lily's ears. She turned, confused. Mr. Hensley's eyes were steady and kind. What could possibly be in that small wooden box, the one that had just made everyone laugh? That was worth a secret meeting. Lily was about to find out. The grand hall was silent now. The laughter had faded, and the once crowded room felt strangely empty. Only Lily and Mr. Hensley remained. The lawyer walked to his briefcase, carefully pulling out a small, beautifully carved wooden box. Its surface was smooth and engraved with Richard Alcott's initials, R.A. He placed it gently on the table. "Your stepfather told me to give this to you personally," he said softly. Lily hesitated. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. The wood was warm under her fingers, almost as if it carried a heartbeat of its own. Slowly, she opened the lid. Inside lay a single golden key and a sealed envelope. Confused, she looked up. "A key?" Mr. Hensley nodded. "There's more to it than it seems. Please read the letter." Lily broke the wax seal and unfolded the paper. Her heart began to pound as she recognized Richard's handwriting, strong, neat, and familiar. "My dearest Lily, if you're reading this, it means I've left this world. You have always been the one person who never wanted anything from me, except love. I know my sons never accepted you, but you were the only one who cared for me when I was old and sick. This key belongs to my private vault at Alcott Bank. What you find there is yours and only yours. You'll understand everything soon. With love, Richard." Tears filled Lily's eyes. For years, she had felt unwanted, but this letter showed that Richard had seen her heart all along. "Mr. Hensley," she whispered. "What vault is he talking about?" He smiled faintly. "I know the one. He asked me to take you there when the time came." A few hours later, they stood inside a secure room at Alcott Bank. Mr. Hensley turned the key, and the vault door creaked open. Inside were folders, property deeds, stacks of documents, and another letter addressed to her. She opened it and gasped. "Lily, these are the shares and assets that rightfully belong to you. 70% of Alcott Enterprises. Your mother helped me build it, and now it returns to her daughter." Lily stepped back stunned. Her stepbrothers thought she had nothing, but in truth, she now held everything. The next morning, the Alcott mansion buzzed once again with activity. Word had spread quickly that Mr. Hensley, the family lawyer, had called for a second meeting. Edward and Charles arrived first, looking confused but confident. "Maybe father left behind another note," Edward said arrogantly, "though I doubt it changes anything." Lily arrived quietly, dressed simply as always, holding nothing but her calm composure. The very people who laughed at her the day before avoided her gaze, whispering among themselves. When everyone had gathered, Mr. Hensley cleared his throat. His voice carried a new firmness as he spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen, after the discovery of a private vault yesterday, it appears there was an additional clause in Mr. Richard Alcott's final instructions." The room fell silent. Edward frowned. "What clause?" "The will is already read." Mr. Hensley adjusted his glasses and continued. "According to Mr. Alcott's signed documents, the assets and majority ownership of Alcott Enterprises, 70%, to be exact, were stored privately under his stepdaughter, Lily Alcott's name." The words hung in the air like thunder. Everyone froze. Charles jumped to his feet. "That's impossible. She's not even his blood." Mr. Hensley opened a file and placed the proof before them. "All documents are legal and verified. Mr. Alcott declared her the rightful heir because her late mother helped him start his empire. Without her, there would be no Alcott Enterprises." The room erupted in disbelief. Edward's face turned red. "You're lying." She tricked him. Lily stood slowly, her voice calm but strong. "I didn't trick anyone. Your father trusted me because I never wanted his money, only his respect." Her quiet dignity silenced them more than any anger could. Mr. Hensley smiled faintly. "Your father once told me, when I'm gone, the one who was never greedy will be the one to protect what I built. He meant you, Miss Alcott." Lily took a deep breath, tears glimmering in her eyes. I will honor both my mother and my stepfather by protecting this family, even those who never wanted me here." As she walked out, the same people who had mocked her the day before could only watch in stunned silence. The forgotten girl had become the true heir, and the only one who had ever truly deserved it.